Imagine living life for the future generations. When I think about imagining peace, I think about all that entails. And it's not just that, every gun is laid down. It's about coming to terms with our own self, learning how to be peaceful in my skin, in my environment, and in my experiences. And I know that I'm not always peaceful, and I'm sure you could say the same, but the reality is that when we're living in that place of peacefulness, we allow ourselves to excel in ways that might be different. But I love that song, Time Traveler, because it's like if we start living almost like a relay, right? One generation to the next generation to the next. What are we leaving for our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, our great-great-great-grandchildren? What are we leaving for future generations? Have we loved ourselves enough to honor the human body and then the body of the universe? And this comes back to the idea of oneness. There's only one thing going on. We live, move, and have our being in God, not separate from, not different than. We are created in the image and likeness. So if that's the case, then as we are looking at the things we do day to day, that should all be done in the same fashion. And that means we do consider those who are yet to come, those who have not yet been born. And that's one of the things I just love about that song, Time Traveler. So when we look at how to make changes like this, because obviously world peace is, a big one, may not happen in my lifetime. Who knows, might happen in yours. But here's the thing. Whatever we focus on grows. Okay? Whatever we focus on grows. So think about what it is you are focused on. Are you focused on the American election? Sitting, waiting, wondering what's going to happen? Are you focused on the wars around the world? Are you telling yourself that things are bad and awful and terrible? I know we do that sometimes. We look around and we see a mess and we call it. It's a mess. But what if instead we remembered the law of attraction? We remembered the ideas of, whatever I focus on grows, and we change our mind instead and go, so what do I really want? And I want you to think about that. What do you really want? If peace is sort of an important thing for you, for your own life and for your home life and for the world around you, it has to start here. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change. So for me to see something in front of me, I have to be it. The world around me is simply a mirror of a previous held thought. Whatever I'm thinking about is reflected, and here it is. So when we look at it from that perspective, not only are we able to make a change, we actually have the power to do it. And I can't change the 8 billion people on the planet, but I can change me. And maybe when I change, Kathy goes, oh, let me check that out. And all of a sudden she becomes more peaceful. And then Ruby gets on there and goes, oh, yeah, that would be. And then Gail, and we get into that place of allowing ourselves to imagine something remarkable. Imagine something beautiful. We have been trained and taught and conditioned to dumb it down. Don't aim too high. You might be disappointed. I say aim for the ends of the universe. And if you don't make it all the way there, well, you probably made it a good long way. And you're in a different place than you were today. Aim large, dream big, allow yourselves to really imagine a life that is something that really masters or expresses your values, your cares, concerns, your passion. Live your passion, live your dreams. The energy that we're putting out is all about who am I, where am I, and what am I bringing? And every one of us is a part of the universal struggle, the universal wisdom, the universal joy. And so it's up to us to choose it. not choosing, we've still chosen, right? We've chosen not to. And to choose it gives us some power back of it. So we want to pay attention to that. Because if you imagine a world living peacefully as one, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Because even in our families, we get a little, everybody's got a family. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? There's always, little things that happen and people's feelings get hurt and assumptions are made and then things fall apart. And so if we wonder why there's world wars all over the place, or world war, we'll take that back, cancel, wars all over the world, we might look at that and go, why does that happen? I just ask you, take a look at your life. Are you at war with anybody? Maybe yourself. We want perspective here. And I really think that I am the microcosm of the macrocosm, as are you. So when we start to look at it differently, the idea of imagining peace means I'm not going to think about what's happening around the world and try to make everybody peaceful. What I'm going to do is become peaceful, even though everything's going on around the world is upsetting. I'm going to start where I am. I'm going to love myself enough to be peaceful moment by moment. And when I notice the things that are going on in the world, that becomes my prayer request list. So I see that, a bomb was dropped somewhere, and I get that. I don't watch the news. So if I've seen it, then that's unusual. And then I do my prayers about it. And my prayers for everything that I have not had a direct communication with the individual or individuals is always highest and best. Because I don't know. I don't know what's highest and best. When you look at what's going on in the Middle East, what's the highest and best? I don't know. I don't know how to solve that. But there's a power and intelligence in the universe that does. There's an energy of vibration that can move that into a whole new way of being. And we need to participate, but not by, calling something bad or wrong, and not by sort of focusing on how terrible it is. Yes, it's terrible. We know that's obvious. But is that what I want to expand? Or do I want something else to expand and grow? And of course, I want to change that. So what I'm going to do is sit back and take a look at what's going on and turn around and go, okay, what do I need? Because I saw it. What I'm seeing in front of me is a reflection of something inside of me. Okay, does that make sense? Whatever I'm seeing in front of me is a reflection of some aspect of me. That some aspect I've denied, some aspect I've labeled bad and wrong, or something that I fear. But there's something in it for me if I react to it. If I'm just looking at a tree and I've got no reaction to anything, there's nothing. But if I'm talking to somebody and all of a sudden I'm fired up, there is something. One of the things that I like to do when I have a big emotional response, I simply ask myself the question, when have I felt like this before? And what I love about that is there will usually be an immediate little flash of something. And it's an indicator of maybe how long that button's been there. Because the person who pushed it didn't create it. It's been there for a while. If I have a big reaction, it's going back a ways, maybe even generationally. These big words, I don't know. So we want to take a look at everything that we're doing and begin to recognize that it has to start with us. I can't affect another human being by making them do something or be something or do something different. I can't make you be peaceful, obviously, right? We know that. Can't make somebody peaceful. But what you can do is love them where they are. And through that energy of love, that energy exchange, what happens is all of a sudden there's a warmth that they might be feeling, and that warmth is then fueled maybe something in them where they can begin to love themselves more, and we create a cycle that begins to grow and expand. And through that, with enough time, enough people, enough energy, we create the vibration of peace. And it takes however long it takes. And when you think about it, I think most of us are familiar with the law of attraction. That's the law of attraction is that I am creating, I am drawing to me whatever based on who I am and what I am. So if we're using the power of our thoughts to focus on all that is wrong in the world, we'll experience more of that. So we want to really make that shift to going, oh, this is going on. Okay, let me just take that and think about what I'd like instead. So if I look at, the Palestinians and the Jewish people, and I look at what's going on there, what I want to do is I want to see family. So in my mind, I'm going to visualize love energy flowing, and I'm going to imagine it flowing through each and every one of them, back and forth, almost like that infinity symbol, right? Where that energy of love is what I see from every person. Doesn't matter if they're holding a gun or if they're in the highest office of the country. There's an energy that's just simply flowing. And I see that energy as love, and I pray highest and best good. Because I don't know how to solve it. Obviously, nobody knows how to solve it because it's been going on a while. The energy of life, the energy of love is the energy that can help us move into a new reality, but that means we have to get okay with change. The only way to be peaceful is to be okay with change. And most of us, we're okay with some things, but maybe not others. I was reading earlier in a book by Joel Goldsmith called The Foundation of Mysticism. And he said something that really touched me. He says, success cannot come by trying to use one power against another power, but by giving up power and accepting God or universe, first cause as one power, and by submitting ourselves to that power and never attempting to destroy the opposition, just recognizing the nature of that, what we call evil or whatever, is simply nothingness. And I thought, wow, it's nothingness. So that means it's something that I can begin to see it in a new way. I can begin to look at the world in a new way that might allow me to be peaceful in the midst of chaos. It's not always the easy thing to do. However, if I jump onto the screaming, yelling, this is wrong, this is bad, this is evil, this is terrible, I'm right in the pit. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling down the energy of all life as I do that. And what I want to do is uplift. So I have to come to a place of faith that there is a higher power, and that if I tap into that, maybe then I will see what my next step is, or the answer that I'm looking for. I begin to see what's going on in a new way, and we're all capable of doing that. So to imagine the world as peaceful is a really, really sweet thing. Most of us are familiar with the St. Francis of Assisi peace prayer. It's attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, however, wasn't written by a saint. But let me just share kind of our new thought version of that prayer. Divine Spirit, I am an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine One, know that I am here on the planet, not to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in living a life of peace and love now that we experience eternal life, now and forevermore. What I love about that prayer is the clarity of what it is we're required to do, what it is we need to do. Where there is hatred, I sow love. So when I look at what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, it doesn't do me any good to start blaming and naming names and going, you're bad, you're wrong, you're evil, you're terrible. That's not going to do anything other than pull us right into the pit. So I have to take my mind somewhere else. And so where there is hatred, I sow love. And where there is injury, pardon. And when I think about what's happening in the various countries in the world and all the things that are going on, as I focus my attention on any one of those spots, my focus is on the opposite of what I'm looking at. I'm not going to focus on war because that's what I don't want. I don't understand war. I want war to go away because it doesn't make sense to me. So what I want to do instead is sit there and imagine the beauty, the grace, and the goodness. Imagine for a moment that the person that's holding that gun is a child of God that deserves my compassion. And that takes some effort. And then to look at the person that might be in front of you saying hateful, hurtful things, and for you to be able to stand there and just shower them in love thoughts. Where there is hatred, I sow love. This is how we get to peace. It's not about conflict being completely resolved. It's about choosing it moment to moment. It's about being it. Where there's doubt, faith. There's a lot of doubt going on in the world right now. There's a lot of injury and fear. There's a lot of despair. And when we look at all those things that are going on, man, we can just sit down and curl up into a little ball and cry. Or we can begin to visualize and vision something remarkable. What would I like instead? When I look at the world around me, I want to see people smiling and laughing and playing and loving and sharing space together and food together and just being with one another. And I think that getting to that place, sometimes it's harder than it sounds. It should be so easy to just choose it, but it isn't. And we know that. The ego gets in there and goes, but I'm right. I'm right. No, they're not, I'm right. A long time ago, I decided I'd rather be happy than right. So some days I just let it fall. It doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, it simply doesn't matter. And my favorite out of this prayer is to be understood as to understand. I am here on the planet not to be understood, but to understand. That's powerful. I mean, think about it for a minute. Sometimes you speak and nobody answers you, nobody talks to you, nobody says anything. You share an idea or opinion and you're looking at a blank wall and you're not getting anything from them. And maybe we feel like, hey, you're not understanding me. You're not listening to me. Let's listen. Let's take time to really get to know one another and to learn something new. I think that's one of the biggest ones, is to learn something new. And so it's a really good idea to travel to a different country, go to a restaurant that you've never been to, that serves a style of food that you've never eaten, and just go in and ask them. I remember when I first had Ethiopian food and I just went in and said, well, we have no idea. So she brought us this big platter with a little bit of everything, and it was phenomenal. The energy of life, when we begin to try new things and to willingly change and move depending on the day and what's going on, what happens is there's a flow that begins to get a lot easier. There's less restriction, there's less push and pull, there's more peace and calm. And this morning I was reading in The Science of Mind a little meditation that Ernest Holmes wrote that, for whatever reason, my book opens to this page all the time. And it's called Majestic Calm. The inner mind is still, the soul reflects the Most High. The spirit of man is God. In the great calm of the all good, I rest in peace and security. My life, excuse me, my life is now reflecting the perfect whole. I am peace. I am calm. I am security and complete satisfaction. I am one with God. I am filled with peace. That little meditation, there's times when I will take that and just repeat it over and over and allow myself to just relax into that state of calm, so that I might then be able to hear that still small voice. We're all being led and guided, all of us. Now, what's great here at CSL is we've taken the ideas of Ernest Holmes, he took the ideas and made them into a system. And that system is so simple and so easy to follow, and it changes lives. It changes how we feel about the world. And we're using this spiritual principle and law to manifest peace. We can do that. And it starts with our imagination. I caught myself, I don't know, a couple of days ago, and Pierre had left a door open, or a cupboard door open. And immediately I went, why'd you do that? But I caught myself. See, we're not here to be perfect. We were born perfect, whole, and complete for our task. Our behaviors don't match that. And that's okay. They may in time, but they don't match that. So we're running along trying to figure out what to do. But if we notice that we've sidestepped a little, or backslid a little, as some people would call it, then what we do is very lovingly go, oh, yeah, I'm not doing that. Remember the truth. And we bring ourselves back to what's really going on and what's really powerful. And if peace happens, not because, I'm doing everything right. Peace happens because I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to be available. I'm willing to be seen. And I'm willing to speak truth. That energy of life, that I'm willing to give into life something remarkable. That's where we're going. That's how we do this. So peace on earth can sound like a far away, impossible idea, but with all the stuff going on, how could there ever be lasting peace? Well, what if that is not what everybody wants? The principle says where our attention goes, energy flows and grows. When we focus on what we don't want, we are actually creating more of it. And so we sometimes think about all the things we don't like. And they just keep being there. And then one day we sit down and go, okay, just a minute. Let me stop resisting what's going on and let me sit in it knowing it is what it is. But then ask myself the question, or you could ask yourself the question, now what? Now what? With a sense of excitement and light, a sense of yes, so that you create the life that you would like to have. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to understand all the ways in which we sabotage ourselves. But we do. I think you know that about yourself, that we will sabotage ourselves, and we'll do it in really subtle ways sometimes. So we want to sit back and really think about, what do I want? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And stop focusing our attention on that which we don't want. So I want you to just take a moment. Just close your eyes if you're comfortable. And I want you to just go into a peaceful, quiet space within yourself. Just allow yourself to sit in this space of silence or stillness. And go within. Feel peace. See peace. Be peace. And opening your eyes when you feel ready. Through our, intentions and the way we practice and the things that we do, we can create a really peaceful, beautiful life. So peace on earth, for me, means my experience is peaceful. I would say, well, I have peace on earth. My little bubble is peaceful. When enough of us can sit back and say that, then all of a sudden we begin to experience that peace on a more global level. And if you think about the story of the 100 monkeys, for example, one monkey starts washing the sand off the sweet potato on this little island. And a couple other monkeys saw what they were doing and started doing the same thing. Before they'd eat it, they'd wash it. Well, soon a certain number reached, and the thought was 100. And when that 100th monkey started washing their food, something happened, and monkeys everywhere began washing their food before eating it. There is a consciousness that is wrapped around us. We're living in it, and we're all connected. So if I have a revelation and somebody else has a similar revelation, that is in the collective. It's touching everybody. And it starts, all of a sudden, a bunch of people are all on the same page about something, and that begins to grow and expand. So as we pay attention to what we're thinking, how we're feeling, allowing ourselves to be strong and connected, to be willing to truly support one another, we can start to shift things by taking an energy of anger and frustration and whatever else is going on around here and changing it to the opposite: love and peace and calm, joy and surrender. So we can begin to, we see something over here that's discordant, we go over here and we put it in order. In our minds, we go, this is the way I want to see it. And we begin to visualize. I remember when I was learning to play tennis, I couldn't serve for the life of me. For whatever reason, I just couldn't figure it out. So before my tennis lesson one week, I'd watch some tennis games on the weekend, and I'm in the shower and I'm visualizing the serve. Never touched my racket that week. Went into my lesson and could serve perfectly. Once the mind gets it, then it shows up in our bodies, or the universe supports it. And the universe only ever says yes to us anyway. So if I think I'm the worst person in the world, the universe says yes. If I think I'm great and wonderful, the universe says yes. And then I will live through whatever experiences come as a result of those belief systems. The journey that we're on is a fascinating one, and it doesn't have a destination. So really, we're not here to put in time. We're not here to get it right. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to live, to take each day to discover each other, to share ideas, values, thoughts, to begin to celebrate what it is to be alive. And the minute we start doing that, peace everywhere will just be a no-brainer. So we can't make it happen. You can't make peace happen. You must be peaceful. Be the peace you want to see in the world. That's the answer. Imagine it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Where would you go? What would you do? What are you not doing now that you would be doing because you feel safer, because everybody's peaceful? These are questions we can ask ourselves. If there's a power for good in the universe and I can use it, what am I using it for? What am I using it for? And we want to pay attention to the answer that we get so that we can begin to shift to a place of really loving ourselves completely and then sharing that love in the world around us. This is where we're headed. This is what's required. As Dr. Holmes said, in the peace that conquers, we want peace on earth. Let us pray for peace in our own hearts. Let us affirm peace in our own minds. Let us live as though peace were the mandate. Let us all use that infinite power of spirit to imagine, affirm, and know peace right here and right now. Each and every day, let us focus on what we do want, see, and experience peace and be instruments of peace. Peace isn't going to happen because conflict ends. Peace happens when I handle conflict peacefully. When I don't blame, shame, ridicule, but rather allow, express, and share. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we can change the world. One person at a time, and the person is you.